Thank you so much for watching UCTV. My name is Nora Sende. Today we are going to talk about a very important issue on this very special program. Now, the issue is human trafficking. This is a very silent crime, and it has affected so many people, not just locally, but globally. Now, today in studio, I have distinguished gentlemen who are actually going to dig into these details so that we find a way forward. And there is a prayer, a national prayer that has been organized. We shall also get to know why exactly have these prayers been organized at this point in time. Still about the same, human trafficking. Well, join me in studio today as I introduce to you Mr. Avoni Alfred, who is the director of John Paul II Justice and Peace Center. Yeah, welcome, Alfred. And then I have Reverend Father Frederick Tusingire, that's the National Director of the Lay Apostolate and the Chairman Organizing Committee of the National Prayer Day of Trafficking Persons.
Thank you, Nora.
You're very welcome. And good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Nora.
I just want to start very plainly with Alfred. Tell us what we hear so much about human trafficking, and some of us are limited to just a few cases that we hear about human trafficking, especially when we hear things like, organ transplant. Tell us exactly what human trafficking is and how does it showcase or how does it display its forms, specifically in our Ugandan society today.
Thank you very much, Nora. I'm glad to be with you here this evening. The subject we are discussing is a pertinent subject. It is an issue which, when it has not touched you, it looks a distance. But when it reaches your door, and then you know the gravity of the situation. Globally, to say, UN call it a hidden figure of crime. You cannot establish exactly how many people are trafficked globally. I have there are figures which have been recorded. For instance, globally they say over 40 million people are trafficked worldwide. But for a case of Uganda, using the report for Ministry of Internal Affairs, which was just released in May, they indicated that roughly 142 persons are trafficked in Uganda monthly. But then what was registered in that report was that last year, 2023, a total of 1,698 persons were trafficked, cases were registered. Now, disturbingly, what is there is that out of 1,698, 1,506 were juvenile, which means children. And yet globally, UN indicates that out of 3 victims trafficked, 1 is a kid. But Uganda is showing a worrying case that you have 2 out of 3 are children. So we need really to dig down why is it that children are more trafficked than the adults, and you know how vulnerable these children are. So our campaign this year is indicated by UN. We celebrate annually. We observe 30th of July as a day for trafficking, a day observed against human trafficking worldwide. So they came out with a theme to address the vulnerability of children. The theme that says, "Leave no child in the fight against human trafficking." And this theme calls upon everybody, government, civil society, religious leaders, and individuals. And they look at the vulnerability of children, and they call upon all of us to take actions that can reduce human trafficking. I have, in Uganda, as you move today, majority of the people think that the best way to survive is to go outside the country. Indeed, a study was conducted where it was indicated that almost half of the population, of working population, feel that the best way to have a better life, to better opportunities to go abroad. Yet when these people go abroad, they meet a lot of challenges. A statistics by the Trust Fund, Trust Fund Foundation shows that close to 98% of Ugandans working in the Middle East had experienced some kind of trafficking, sexual abuse, or work which shows exploitative experiences. So the voice is wide. Moreover, locally in Uganda, we see this thing apparently appearing on the streets of Kampala. You see a number of children begging on the streets, the Karamajong children. Some move voluntarily because they believe that going out of Karamoja, and specifically those who come from Napak, going out for Karamoja would give them opportunities and opportunities back home to help their families. On their arrival in their town, with that family, with that money, they're subjected to trafficking and they're being exploited. However, there are some people in Kampala, or Karamajong themselves, and also other people who already have entrenched themselves in the city. Go to the villages, lure the parents, and then ask them that we can take your parents, your children to the city, and then you get some remittance in terms of sugar, salt, and maybe some little money to the parents. So these children are brought to the urban centers. Last year, around August, police rounded roughly 21 children on the street. These 21 children rounded by the police on the street, about 19 of them were children. You try to imagine the age of 3 to 9. And you can see these are children who cannot think for themselves.
Very
They need somebody to guide them. So these children are subjected to begging from morning to evening. In case they don't beg enough, they go back in the slum. They are even beaten sometimes by the traffickers. And the traffickers are called nicknamed that they are elders. So when these traffickers use these children for a long time, eventually they can either take the children back well dressed and with some little package to the parents, or they can transfer the kid to another trafficker who continue the circle of begging and giving the remittance little to the parents. This is the issue which we are facing. However, the challenge is mostly with the people who are going abroad. Yes, we thank government for having kind of ministries. One of the ministries is Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development to help to see the travel and getting employment outside. And also they have a docket, a task force within the Ministry of Internal Affairs to curb up this vice, to regulate and ensure that nobody is being trafficked. But within this docket, still trafficking is going on.
Very unfortunate, really.
Very unfortunate that it is still going on. And the last time we checked, there were about close 300 and something companies recruiting for labor externalization. That is a good number indeed. And according to emergency fund report, which was 2022, they say remittance from Uganda, immigrant workers, is now close to $1 billion per annum. So, despite this remittance, the challenges being faced by the immigrant workers abroad.
Yes,
and it is really bad. We, the partners working against human trafficking within the church, have rescued a number of them. And the issues, the highlight, it is horrifying.
Now, you've mentioned something to do with church, and I have Reverend Father Frederick here, who I would also want to come to a little bit. You've mentioned so many things in regard to trafficking of humans and or trafficking of persons. And one thing that really stand out, or that stood out in the statements that you've made, is that we see the numbers increasing, especially when it comes to young children actually being trafficked. You've painted a picture here, especially in Uganda, that we see some of these crimes that are very seen, they're very tangible in our day-to-day lives. On the streets you're walking and you see kids, especially from Karamoja, begging. And we've had stories of people who have been trafficked, especially for people who go for labor externalization in search of greener pastures. And so it is no doubt a crime that needs concerted efforts.
Sure.
And I'm so glad that I'm here with Father Frederick, because we'd just like to know, what is the church's stand in regards to human trafficking? How does the church view that? And what are some of the teachings that come with things like human traffickings?
Thank you, Nora. Of course, the stand of the church is very big concerned regarding this very big evil of human trafficking. And as Alfred was explaining, the fact that in Uganda, the highest number of the people who are trafficked are children, meaning then we are going to the field of the worst forms of abuse for children when they are sold as commodities. But the church, of course, the church bases the teaching on what our founder, Jesus, taught. So we base on scriptures, and as we know, the stand of Jesus regarding issues of justice and the respect of a human person, this was really at the heart of his mission. And so the church is basing there. Jesus, for example, talking about children, and say, the little ones come to me, and say, the one who scandalizes or does harm to the little one, may he be cast down and drowned in the ocean. And he really condemns things like that, things of oppression, especially for the vulnerable people. People like these young people, the majority of them are young people anyway, and children now, as we know, being sold into slavery and then sold for exploitation. Of course, the catchword is this labor externalization, and because people are desperate, they are looking for jobs, they think they are going to get a fortune, and so they get into a situation which they are not foreseen. They thought they were going for a blessing, and so basically we are not really against people going out to work, but how do they go? The arrangement, and are they protected? Are the rights protected? Are they working for the right pay? And the conditions, these are the things we need to lobby for. But the church, basing on the teaching of Christ, is totally against things that oppress a human being, because a human being created in the image of God has to be respected as a human being, whether child or adult. So this is the teaching of Christ, that people have to be respected. And if you go to the social teaching of the church, then issues of justice come to light. And as I said, also respect of the human person. Now, the church in general is working so that people are equal and they are respected in all ways. And so the Holy Father is very concerned about this. He has been working against this vice and this evil. For us, human trafficking is an evil. It is a sin. And so through groups like Santa Marta, he has entrusted them with the work of fighting against human trafficking, and there are different organizations working under him for this. But when it comes to our country here, our bishops are very concerned that our children and vulnerable people continue to be exploited in this form of human trafficking or trafficking in persons, being sold out, really. And the strange thing about this type of slavery we are now here dealing with is that whereas in the past, 200 years ago, our grandparents were being sold to Europe, to Middle East, to America, and taken by force, today people are buying themselves into slavery. They are selling themselves into slavery. So the parents will sell a piece of land or some other property to get their daughter to the Middle East, even without knowing what is she going to do, what are the conditions. So in the end, they end up being thrown in the streets there to work as prostitutes or even working as slaves in some houses or some rich people. So the situation is so bad that, and that's especially because of ignorance and also the deception that people use to take our young people into slavery. So the bishops are very concerned, and 2 years ago they have written a pastoral letter. The title is "Break the Yoke." This is the title of the pastoral letter of bishops, "Break the Yoke," and basically they are calling upon everyone, the government, the Christians, the people of goodwill, and everyone, to see that we get our efforts together to support the efforts of getting people to restore their dignity and not to be able to go into slavery. So the bishops are very concerned.
Yes.
Now, in our country, with the support of the bishops, we have had different organizations working together to support the efforts against trafficking in persons. I happen to be the chairperson of these groups. One of them is John Paul II Peace and Justice Center, or Justice and Peace Center, which is headed by Mr. Vuni as the director. But also we have the ARU, the religious in Uganda, they are working for this. Bakita Network is working for that. Now we have a new group which has come on board, Mwagale, it's called Mwagale. We work also with the Diocese of Moroto, especially on the issue of internal trafficking, regarding especially the children that Alfred was talking about earlier. So we have put together our efforts. We have meetings, and we do different things to fight this vice. So the church is very concerned,
Yes.
And we are really working so that we can make people to know.
Yeah.
Because the first step is people don't know. They are sold, not knowing they're being sold. So we need to get people to know, but also to lobby for fair dealing of different nations with Uganda when people are going out to look for jobs, and also to see that those who are out there, they do decent work. And that's the work of the church. As I said, the church is concerned and is working on this.
Yes, I can see really the concern, and you've highlighted on the collaboration between different organizations and the religious. And as you were talking, I saw a lot of advocacy. And
Yes, it's part of our work.
yes, it's part of it. I would also like to know some of the nitty-gritties about the details of how this is done to support not only advocacy but also the victims that have been, engraved into human trafficking.
Well, we have different efforts going on. Of course, as I said, we have those different groups who are working together. Now we have like a platform of all the different Catholic organizations working against trafficking in persons. And each of those has some aspect on some of the work is intersects. But I could say that the three major moments we have for us as a Catholic Church in Uganda are in February. February we have a National Day of Prayer, another National Day of Prayer. February 8th, the 8th of February is the feast day of Saint Josephine Bakita. This is an African saint who had been trafficked also, sold out into slavery, and she has been canonized, and the Pope made her the patron saint for trafficked people, for those who are in slavery. So on her feast day, the 8th of February, we have an initiative. So we have programs in the media, we have mass together, and we try to sensitize everyone about this vice, this evil. Then again in July, the International Day on Trafficking of Persons, the one of the United Nations, we again have another initiative. Then again now in September. September is our national really big initiative we have as a Catholic Church in Uganda, where we bring on board even other religions to work together on this. Because this kind of evil, you cannot do it alone. So we need to work with all the people goodwill that we can have an impact on this. So the main thing we do, even when in September, what we will do now, it's not only prayer. Now I understand that the context of this program is the National Day of Prayer. But there are many things in there. One of them we have testimonies of those who have been sold into slavery and have come back, we call them survivors. Those who have come back, they will testify what they go through. There will be some of them talking, but also acting out what they meet there. There will be some kind of play on that. We have people talking from the different faith, besides the prayer, the people have been invited, whether they are Muslims or Anglicans or Pentecostals or Orthodox. We have the different branches of Pentecostals, even the Baha'i are invited. So each of those will give a prayer, but also a message, and try to really lobby and encourage the society to see that we work together against this vice. So that's what we do. So we work with the different initiatives within the Catholic Church and outside, even with the government. Like in this case, as we have done in the last 2 years, we also invite the line ministries. They come and they give a word, and also they give guidance on how some of our people can be protected or even go out in a good way and be able to earn money for themselves and for their families. So we need the government on board, and we work with them. Even now they are being invited. So that's what we are doing as the platform of Catholics, and we have had now for 3 years we are working together, the different organizations. But earlier we were already doing work, each one of us. John Paul II Center was doing work, ARU and the other organizations. But since 3 years ago we got together and we thought it's better work together to make an impact in this field.
Surely. Yeah. I see there's a lot of collaboration that is needed. It is a crime that is silent, but it's also transnational, and not just local collaboration, but international collaboration. In case you've just tuned in, we're discussing the issue of human trafficking, and there is a national prayer that has been organized in the same regard. Well, we are going to dig a little more into detail when we return. My name is Nora Sende. Let's take a quick break.
Good news for all.
Dear children, friends of Jesus, you are welcome to your program. I'm Dorothy Atire Songo.
Be with us all. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord Jesus.
A prayer for church leaders.
We pray for their well-being.
May the Almighty God guide and lead them through their missions.
We pray to the Lord.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
UCTV. Good news for all.
Well, thank you for staying with us on UCTV. I am Nora Sende. And in studio, in case you're just joining, we are discussing human trafficking. I am with Father Frederick Tusingire and Mr. Alfred Avuni. And we are discussing about human trafficking, like I've just said. It is a crime that is silent, but is eating up the very fabric of our society. And so we need concerted efforts in both the spiritual dimension and the physical dimension. So it is an intersection. In that regard, prayers have actually been organized, and Father Frederick here, I can't wait to hear about the prayers that have been organized in regard to the Day of Human Trafficking. Why exactly have these prayers been organized, if I may ask?
Well, Nora, I'm happy, I want to thank you for giving me an occasion to explain this. The the National Day of Prayer that now we are organizing for the third year as the Catholic Church, working with partners, various partners of the Catholic Church and even of other faith. This year is going to be the third year we are organizing. It's a very important event for us. We have scheduled that it should always be in September, because as I told you, in February we have the feast day of St. Joseph in Bakita. In July we have the international one. Usually the government is organizing something. Now as a church we decided to have our own away from that one, so we don't interfere with one of the United Nations, and so it is in September. Because the one of the United Nations is July 30th. Now we get ready and have our own in September. The usual date we had planned in September in the past 2 years it was always in 9th of September. But this year, and this should be clear to our viewers, this year 2024 the day will be the 13th of September. It will be a Friday. And we chose that so that we can have, on the weekend, heading the weekend, we thought we would have better participation in that event. Normally we have on the eve, the day before, like in this case, it will be the 12th of September, we'll have Mass. The Holy Eucharist will be in Zambia Parish, in the Church of St. Peter's Parish here in Zambia, at 5 in the evening. It will be presided over by the Archbishop of Kampala, His Grace, Archbishop Paul Semogerere, as Archbishop of Kampala, but also he happens to be the chairman of the Bishops' Commission for the Laity, which is the sponsor for this initiative. So in the two capacities he will be there. He will preside over the Mass. That is tomorrow, actually, on Thursday. Then on Friday, we have this big event in the playground of Old Kampala Secondary School. So there we begin at 8:30 exactly. We start. The whole program starts with the march past. Different groups will be there. We have all kinds of groups who have been invited and they have confirmed they are coming. And then after that, we have the prayer again led by the Archbishop, and different prayers by different faith. They'll give their prayers there. And then after that, we have the talks, different presentations from the government people, but also from the different church organizations and the Muslims. And then, as I said, there will also be testimonies from the survivors, and also some. They will act out some things and some songs. Some children will have even a song to present. As Alfred said earlier, the theme for this year's, the international theme, is Leave No Child Behind in the fight against trafficking in persons. So the children are going to be playing a very important role there. They even have prepared a song that they will present there. Even tomorrow at the Mass, the children will be present, also take some parts of prayers, especially prayers of the faithful. But on Friday, we intend to have a short program from 8:30 until 1. So by 1 we are through. So after the presentations of these young people and the testimonies, then the Archbishop will invite the guest of honor to give his or her word, and then after that, some refreshments. And if I'm not mistaken, the refreshments will be for everyone. We don't care if they come 10,000 or 20,000, we all get some refreshment, and then we end. But that, as I said earlier, the day of prayer is meant to also be an occasion to sensitize the people, to inform them. Well, as I said, I think many people are going into these programs because they don't know the truth. So it's good that they get to be informed. Then also we use the occasion to really get the young people who have been trafficked, to affirm them, to be consoled also. You will see, if you will be there tomorrow at the Old Kampala, you will see some of these young people, they are traumatized. You know, some of those people, what they go through there, if they tell you, you can't really believe it happens. You feel crying with them, really. And they tell me that those, for them, they even luckily survive, because some of them, they take them and harvest organs from them. And either die there or as soon as they are back, they can't do anything for themselves. So this will be part of the program at Old Kampala. So basically, since you are given this chance, the most important thing I would like to do is to invite all our viewers. No one is left behind. You are welcome to come to that occasion. If you are concerned about issue of justice and you want to promote human beings that people can get decent work and not be sold into slavery, come and we'll be together tomorrow from 8:30 until 1 for this very important cause that I think should concern all of us. But also, remember those who cannot come on Friday, at least come tomorrow to the Mass in St. Peter's Church here in Zambia at 5 p.m. So that's what we have in mind, the prayer, but also to use the chance for lobbying and for really informing the public about this evil, so that together we can fight it. Even if we help 2 or 3 children who are supposed to go and die, who would have died into slavery, we shall have achieved a lot.
Surely.
That's it, Nora.
Surely. That is a very extensive program, and I see it's there to actually address multiple ways of tackling child trafficking, especially. And like you said, even if it's just one child, once you save a child, you've saved a generation, really. Unfortunately, when it comes to human trafficking, there is a lot that has to do with not just the physical hurt, there is emotional hurt, there is all sorts of hurt when it comes to human trafficking. Some are obvious and some we may not see, but they leave a lasting impact on a person's life. And I just want to go back to Alfred there. How can the community join in the fight against trafficking of persons or human trafficking?
Yes, thank you, Nora. Before I answer what the community can do to stop this vice, I would like to add my voice to what Father Frederick has responded to your question on what we are doing to help the victims. That is really a critical area. The victims of human trafficking are so many. Only people don't know that there are so many. And again, the challenge is that do we have the resources to help all of them? The resources are not there. I have within our small decades as church institutions, first and foremost, we receive a number of calls even from the victims abroad, that we need to come back. We don't have opportunities of coming back. So we work together with another group internationally, what is called Trafficking in Rome. We communicate to them. We give the details of the victims abroad, and Trafficking connects with IOM. These people are repatriated. So far, as a network, we have rescued 36 girls from the Middle East. Now, rescuing them and bringing them home is not enough. So, upon reception, when they come back, what we do, we get a counselor to counsel them. After them being counseled, we physically take them to their respective home to be reintegrated. However, the reintegration is not enough. Having enabled the parents or the family members to accept them, as Father has originally mentioned, you know, much as these people go freely, though there's a little fee sometimes which is required, only 50,000 shillings for some processing of some of the documents. Some of them end up even paying close to 3 million in order to go. But then some come barehanded. And as they come barehanded, they are rejected. I remember one lady who came back and we tried to support. She said the husband rejected her because they sold everything and they expected her to come back with the money. So she lost her husband because she went abroad. And she was even contemplating suicide because the hope was that after suffering that side, she would be accepted at home. So what we do, then we do also skilling. Having reintegrated them, we invite them back, we give them various skilling, tailoring, hairdressing. Some have got involved even in filmmaking. Indeed, one of our activists currently has formed an organization which was talking about Wangale Foundation. This foundation is now working against human trafficking. They have become the champion. It started by them, but that was one of our survivors. Some of them are now engaged in even hotel industry, what catering. They are trying to get income through catering. Some have got involved in hairdressing, and some have got into other businesses. So we train them, we skill them, give them business capital, and eventually give them startup capital. But then still we say this is not the solution. The solution to stop this vice is to address the root cause of human trafficking. What are the factors for, what are the causes of human trafficking? As I mentioned at the beginning, the issue is poverty. The issue of lack of opportunities. The issue is that people are educated but they don't have job opportunities. So it becomes very hard for you to treat the end results. What we need to focus on is to try to address the economic burden which these people have. So how can this be addressed? Essentially, if we need to help these people and have a long-term solution, and then we need to engage in social protection mechanism. Social protection mechanism require us to minimize deprivation, which is the biggest sense. And also we need to enhance the capability of our youth especially. So these are the benchmark we need to try to address. So Father was talking about advocacy. Yes, we need to advocate, and we see who are the partners to help us to address the root cause of human trafficking, so that these girls and boys cannot easily be trafficked and used for any other purpose.
Right.
Yes, you were asking me to
about how the community can be
how community
involved.
can be involved. Yes, Father has ably addressed the issue of ignorance. The community has a big role to play. If we are to stop this vice, the best way to do is to break the source. Laws only will not address these issues. Confronting the traffickers will not address these issues. We need to talk to the parents and the youth to try to address their concern locally. I'm glad that we have, as I was talking about social protection, one of the things I'm very happy is that one of the means of social protection is cash transfer. Already within the government, we have what we call the PDM. Now, this would really enhance the income at the household level if properly implemented. So we need to deal with that. We see that how we can have some cash transfer to the families so that they can generate income to support their basic needs: education, health, shelter, and food. They need to get that. Then another thing which the families need to get is also in-kind transfers. What are in-kind transfers? These are assets which are given to the family to enhance income, so that they are self-reliant. And then, for the case which we are addressing this year, child trafficking, and with regard to Karamoja, there is a need for us to provide school program which requires school feeding. These children cannot remain in school when they have no food. Already I have heard that some of the children who were, I could say, rounded up during the meeting at Munyo, the recent meeting. I don't know what was it's called this, the big meeting which was held at Munyo here. All the children were rendered. I think you saw what happened. Even structures around the road were destroyed in order to show some beauty of Uganda, to show our city also is a standard of international standard. So, but what you can see here that these children, even when they are taken back, they were being given some food, but some are now getting big challenge because the food is no longer there. So unless deliberately we have a kind of healthy food provision which the children have in the school, we shall not really be able to address the issue. Other factors in social protection which we can provide to the family can also be that we need to provide the families with the job opportunities. There are families who are willing to work, but the opportunities are not there. So these are the things which need to be addressed both by government, even the church institution, because the church also employs a number of people. So we need to provide that will help. However, the need for awareness cannot be overstated. That we need to create awareness that some people who believe that going out is the solution to the challenge at home, then that is so dangerous for the families. And think that their children being sent to urban center will improve their family, that is so dangerous. So we need to create awareness at a family level, at a community level, so that people become conscious of this vice. You see, usually they say if something looks so good, be very careful. Because there's a lot of deception, there are a lot of promises which are given to the families at home, that once your kid goes the other side, tomorrow you can be one of the millionaires in the village. Because your kid is going to go abroad. But your kid may come when he or she can no longer walk. We have seen several reports. We have seen in the media how this. So we can only help the family through awareness and also giving social protection to the family so that they can be self-reliant.
Yeah. Well, I see you've integrated there how communities can actually get involved in the fight or in the fight of human trafficking, but you've also mentioned that this cannot be actually fought without going to the root cause. In your deliberation, the root cause is obviously poverty, the economic conditions that is driving people abroad, and it's making children come to the street and so much more. Yes, and so I'm trying to understand the issue of poverty vis-a-vis the legal framework. How can the legal framework be of help in the fight against human trafficking? Can the law still help?
Definitely, we cannot do away with the law. The only challenge with the law is the enforcement of the law. One thing I need to bring forth is that for somebody to be convicted of this crime, the burden of proof is on the accuser. And sometimes it's very hard for you to have the facts that this person actually trafficked so and so. So much as the law is there, the enforcement still remains a challenge, and also interpretation of the law remains a challenge. However, if these laws are properly enforced, it can make the traffickers a little bit fear. But also, if you remember that the traffickers, especially for trafficking which involve cross-border, is done by people who are well-placed. So people who are well-placed, sometimes it's very difficult to prosecute. So we need the law, yes, but also there are some lacuna in the laws which need to be addressed. However, the enforcement of the laws in our countries has always been a big challenge. I don't want to go into that nitty-gritty, but we all know to the public domain, sometimes people say, I cannot go to court because I know I'm not going to win. Why do they say that?
Right.
You see, so this is a big challenge. However, the law is part and parcel of the process of curbing the vice. We have the Anti-Trafficking Act, which was enacted in 2009. We have also action plan against human trafficking in this country, a policy which gives us the roadmap of what to do and how to do it and with whom to do it. So we pray for, I don't know, for government to see that the law enforcement organ really do their work, but that is not enough because the law will not address all the causal factors. Yeah, the law can help when already a crime has been committed, you see?
Indeed.
Yeah, and maybe sometimes the suspect, when you suspect a crime is going to be committed, you can apply the law, but it may not address the root cause of trafficking.
Interesting. It is important to address the root cause of human trafficking, and the law is just to help, you know, for those that have been victims and the perpetrators of human trafficking. And I really understand when you say that implementation of the law is equally as important as the law being standing. And you've given us a very broad perspective of things. Thank you so much. Before we wind up, we're about to wind up, I just want to go back to Father Frederick. What are now the priority areas of the church in the fight against human trafficking right now at this point in time? And you could close with a call for action.
Well, Nora, basically it's what I've been saying, that as a church, we will not only do praying is a priority for us.
Right.
And for us as believers, prayer works. So prayer is one of our priorities, but we go beyond prayer, and so that's why I say we're in the field of advocacy, of informing, of educating the population about what is happening and what needs to be done. These are very, but what Alfred just outlined is also a very important field, the one of helping the survivors. As he told you, we're trying to see if we can help. It's like a drop in the ocean, but a few whom we can manage to help, those who come back, or we have tried even to intercept some who are on the way being trafficked and try to help them. But it's a whole package, and the different actors, each one of us contributes. Like the issue of counseling for those who come back, and skilling them. Now, when it comes to that, we are working together now with the JP2 Center. But now we have had a new organization coming on board called St. Bakita Network in Uganda. It's for the religious in Uganda, but really headed by the Holy Cross Sisters. And they've been able to put even a shelter in place in Fort Portal. And they are specializing in this, and they can do counseling and also help in skilling. In fact, that's one reason why I encourage people to come on Friday, is they will be in touch with the different actors in different fields. You may have your sister or your daughter who is trying to go out for a job, and most of them are ladies. Most of them, the majority, also boys are trafficked, but many of those who are being trafficked are ladies. You come and ask some of those, say, my daughter is trying to go to a certain place in the Middle East. Is that okay? Is that company registered? What's the agreement between Uganda and that country? So that you know the risks that are involved. Before you sell your land, send your daughter, your sister, your wife. Now, even men are sending their wives there to work, hoping that they can get money. The people will be there, so we'll provide even that possibility that you can meet our people who work in the different sectors, and they can also give the necessary information. So these are all our priorities, and we'll try to touch a bit on each of them on that day. But above all, to know that these organizations in the church are available all the time to help. They can make use of us. We'll be able to support. So I think, as you said, to again encourage people to come tomorrow, to come to church at Insambi and pray. But on Friday especially, there will be more time to come to Old Kampala Playground, next, just below the mosque there. I think the Gaddafi Mosque below there. We'll be there the whole day. You are all free to come. So I invite you, come, we stand together. If you believe in standing together in a good cause, this is a good cause to stand together for, that we can help our people who are being sold into slavery. And after that, being there, the rest will be communicated. We didn't have enough time to go into all kinds of forms of. By the way, allow me to say this: a very common form of slavery, internal trafficking, that may concern many of us, are the young girls being taken to cities to work as maids, and some of them are children. And I'm concerned. I happen to be the safeguarding officer for the Bishops' Conference. We have done a small study on this. Many girls are deceived to go to an auntie in Kampala or another city that they are going to get a good money and send to the family. A girl who should be in school, a child, as long as one is below 18. People who employ those kids first check the age. And even if the families, before you send a child who is below 18, you'll be in trouble. Even the law will get you. So many children are in these fences of rich people, and they are not in school. And that's a very serious form of abuse, that one would have been educated, and they are working almost for nothing. You can imagine some pay 50,000, because we meet some of them, 50,000 a month, or 100,000 at most if she's well paid. And if she breaks a glass or a plate when she's washing, even that is cut off the whole month. That's slavery proper, here in Uganda, in our own places. But I said this monster is very big, but if we can at least scratch a bit on it and try to improve, to help some of our children, to save some of the children. But come and we stand together. Tomorrow is the chance, and Friday come to Old Kampala, and we try together to see what we can do to improve the situation of our young people, and especially the children, to save them from being enslaved in our own country or abroad. That's what I can tell you.
Well, Father Frederick, that is really remarkable. We like the fact that the church is actually getting out of the confines of the walls of the church and tackling this head on, really, sensitizing and collaborating and helping people and just being there and talking to people. And I think that is one of the most profound ways of tackling human trafficking, really. And we can't thank the church enough, really. Before we close, I know Alfred will have last remarks in your regard.
My last remark is that to all Ugandans, we should know that human trafficking is a reality. And human trafficking is a threat to human rights, to human dignity, and to development. We need to join hands together, as Father has rightly mentioned, that we fight the vice collectively. Everyone has a responsibility. We can't leave it only to the government. Government plays its part. Civil society needs to play their part. Families need to play their part. And the individuals need to play their part. As a believer, we need to share in the sorrows of those who have been victimized by the vice of human trafficking, and take all necessary steps we can at our own capacity to help them have hope like any other human being. Because we live in this world once, and you cannot recover your life once it is lost. I pray that as we gather on Friday, let all of you come together so that we can pray together with these victims, and let the world know that this vice is eating us. It makes us look more inhuman than the wild animals we talk about. If we can trade on our own brothers and sisters, what remains in this heart that we shall respect? I pray that we really consider this as a serious issue to our society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alfred. Thank you so much, Father Frederick.
Thank
really.
you, Nora. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to share with this.
It has been a very profound discussion, and one thing for sure is that we need to share in the sorrows of those that have been affected and feel that pain and compassion and empathy, and that is the very essence of our faith when you look at
Exactly.
it. Right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you so much for staying with us as we were discussing human trafficking, not just in Uganda, but a global crime that is affecting people not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically, and it leaves lasting impacts that can linger on for so many years. Well, I'll definitely hope you will make it, not just for the Mass tomorrow at St. Peter's, but also on Friday at the old Kampala grounds, where there will be a lot happening. And I'll definitely be there too. Well, for now, do have yourself a lovely evening and a good night. Remain tuned to UCTV. I am Nora Sende.
Thank you.
Thank you.